not giving people a decent start in life, it's terrible for the economy. Obviously, look at
evicting them every 15 minutes. Come on. People have worked hard their whole life with their mortgages.
But members of the unions are on the boards of local banks and vice versa. So there's some kind of functional relationship. It's very important to understand that this idea that it's the union, completely the union's fault, it misses the point that there was what had become a dysfunctional situation. There were two sides that weren't talking to each other at all, but one side did actually have more power than the other.
So I want to just give some figures about Iceland, because the current financial crisis first hit there, and the Icelandic government's solution was to start criminal proceedings against the heads of banks, and they used their millions not to bail out 3 or 4 banks, but actually to give debt relief and relief to the population of Iceland. 25% of the population of Iceland received money from the... So 25% of the Icelandic population received money from the government to give them mortgage relief and poverty relief. We decided, and most other economic powers decided, to bail out banks. At the time, all global economists thought the Icelandic approach was mental, and they thought that the Icelandic government was going to destroy their GDP and destroy their economy. And in year 1 of their policies, their GDP did drop by 6.5%. But in the next year, it grew by 2.4%, and the year after that, it grew by another 2.3%. So actually, economists are now beginning to think about what the Icelandic solution was. So they spent the same amount of money as we did, but they choose not to bail out 3 or 4 banks. They choose to actually relieve the poverty of their population. And actually, they're in the same position as we are in, if not slightly better, because the people in Iceland who go to the shops have money to generate income and economy, and this notion that bailing out the banks is the only answer is a nonsense. It's just an absolute nonsense. So I would say to everybody, start looking at Iceland and start looking at the figures around the growth of their economy and the economic policy that the Icelandic government followed. And that was about giving money to the people, not giving money to the banks.
And the reason that works is that poor people spend the money that they have, and they do so reliably. Put more money into the pockets of rich people and companies, they may or may not spend it. What happened with our banks is we gave them huge amounts of money and said, oh, please lend to people in Britain. They said, yeah, sure we will. And what did they do? Of course, they lent it to Brazil at 8%. They lent it to China. They did what was rational from their point of view as profit-making entities that had nothing to do with the interest of we, the majority of people.
So, did you get a good enough answer, sir? You're the one that asked what solution. What did you think? Did you listen? What she said? I
thought you went away for a little thing.
I did go away for a think. My first point in response to your question is that I don't see myself as someone who has the answers. I'm more of a little annoying bugger that's got the questions, right? So really what I see myself as doing in my role in this world is to facilitate the asking of questions, not just to myself, not just to other people, but to myself as well. But we need to first ask the question. We need to first even know that there are questions to be asked, okay? So I don't have solutions. I'm not intelligent enough or educated enough. I don't see myself as intelligent or educated enough to come out with solutions. And there are lots of ideas that I have, but there's lots of ideas that lots of people have, and ultimately, I think the ultimate answer is always to be found inside of myself. The answer to all the important questions is to be found inside. If I can find a way to connect to that part inside myself, which is actually the part inside everybody here, because we're just all holographic parts of the same oneness. Okay, so that's a kind of general metaphysical answer to you. On a more practical level, various thoughts I've had. One of them is that we need to find a group of a very rare breed of people who have worked through themselves or worked on themselves so much that they no longer have a need for anything really, right? And it's only the people who have no longer a need for anything. They don't have the need to control other people. They don't have a fear of their own death. They can't be corrupted by either threats or promises. those are the people that we need to lead us. And unfortunately, those people are not going to come forward because they don't have a need. We need to find them. We need to seek these people out, these people who are spiritually developed enough to be able to lead in a way that is going to be loving and compassionate towards as many people as possible. We need to find them, get them together, create some kind of organisation that is not going to be able to be infiltrated by sick people, by psychopaths, which most organisations eventually get infiltrated by. So that's an idea, and that we can all be on the lookout for. We need to find people like this. They are very, very rare. I know just 1 or 2 people like that, right? So that's just an idea, but I don't have the answers. What I try and do is to encourage questions.
Okay, in response of what is the solution? Maybe the people, they got some solution, but...
Ladies and
gentlemen, we can just have a minute's silence. Margaret is just passing here in the lorry. Please, a bit of respect, please, now.
I think she'd be in no better position today than see you guys at your own initiative after 23 years declaring to the world how badly you were defeated and in style. And you know what? Margaret Thatcher today would be in no better position than see you there witnessing that she's not for turning all the way to her grave.
She turned. This is such a lie.
That is so rubbish. Get back to your council houses and smoke your weed. Smoke your weed.
She did turn.
They've sold them off.
Dogmatic belief
They've sold them off.
incredibly high interest rates to control inflation failed spectacularly. The economy was so broken after 3 years of her premiership. She turned. She reversed that policy, and it did reverse a little bit of the terrible damage that she was doing.
Listen, I don't know why you're walking away, but the thing is, your anger is undermining everything that you're saying, sir. Your anger and your insults, go back to your council houses. I mean, that kind of
They've sold them off. They've sold them off.
Undermining everything that you say.
The ghettos have been sold off, darling. The ghettos are being sold off, darling, to the private sector.
Everybody wants to
Nothing
know what
safe,
we should
not
do,
even the
what we
ghetto.
should do. All we need to do is stop worshipping property as we've done for the last 20 years.
Yeah, even the
which is
ghettos are
sold
too
as a pub,
expensive now.
and start liking people. Because the only thing that Thatcher did was to try and destroy the human spirit. And the fact that we're here today means that we're not destroyed. And everybody who thinks, hands up, everybody who thinks we live in a happy society. We don't. Nobody can say. Nobody can say we live in a happy society today. Not even the male. Because the male only makes a living by selling hate, by giving people an opportunity to hate each other even more than they do already, and to trade that hatred in order to compete for jobs, to compete with each other, against each other, for jobs, for homes, for schools, for
Maggie was competing with the boys. What do we
between
expect?
communities. And Thatcher destroyed those communities deliberately and maliciously. She didn't have to wreak the havoc that she did. She chose to do that.
Yes.
And the reason she chose to do that was to permanently put every generation after her into debt for the rest of their lives and stop them from taking action against whatever injustices they met within the workplace. That is what happened. We fell down on our knees to property and gave up on people. Nobody now knows their neighbours. Nobody now can organise on a local basis to get anything done. And all we have is a society of
everybody's about to be
individuals
evicted.
scrabbling